Hello, thank you so much for joining me for this yoga session. Make sure you've got space and room in order to stretch. Hopefully you've got a mat in order to keep you comfortable. I'm also sitting up on blankets. I've got some blocks in order to help you gather whatever you need. We've settled in that comfortable seat. Never let your feet get tingly. Always rearranging your legs so that doesn't happen. Let your eyes close if that's comfortable. And your awareness is coming inward to your breath, to your body, and it's not to judge, it's just to be aware. Right away, setting that intention of being kind and compassionate and loving with yourself. Meeting yourself exactly where you're at. Treating yourself like a true friend. You're breathing however feels comfortable, whether it be through your nose or your mouth. Let the inhale bring the breath all the way into your lungs. And then the exhale, the breath leaves your lungs. And then the inhale, bring it in. Exhale, let it go. So that act of bringing in and letting go, that is the rhythm, the pulse of everything, of the universe, of it all. It's within you. So when you're ready, then start to direct the inhale down to the lower third of your lungs, then the middle third of your lungs, then the upper third of your lungs. And then on the exhale, you release the upper third, then the middle third, then the lower third. So let that 3-part yoga breath build. If you are having a hard time unhooking from your to-do list, the story in your head, by just connecting to your breath and where you're at right here, right now, you can also add that layer of constriction to the back of your throat. It's just like how you fog up a window or a mirror with your out breath. And I'm doing it. You do that same constriction. You know what I'm talking about, right? When you do a heart or something, you're doing that same constriction in the back of your throat as you breathe through your nose. And it might be louder on parts and not on others. And it's one of those things, if you've never tried it, try it out. See if you like it. But it does add that layer. It creates this ocean sound that's called ocean breath in your head. So using it to help you stay connected, also using that awareness of your body. Remember, not letting your feet get tingly. Here's where you're going to start to activate, really to engage, to feel that support. Pull that back body down, lift that front body, navel dimples. You're engaged, pressing the knees away, flexing the feet. There's a solid base beneath you, within you. It's coming from within. And then on your exhale, lift yourself up out of that solid base and feel yourself stretch and lift into that space around you. And that's the space that you are meant to take up. So take it all up. You don't need to shrink yourself. You can stretch yourself out into the space as much around you as you can. And then instead of going to your to-do list or visiting some part of your past, think about trying to be aware of your whole body out to the edge of your skin and then even beyond. And that to me is, I can feel that. I can feel that little bit of like that crackling energy around me. It's you and your breath and your body on your mat. You're paying attention. You're taking care of yourself. Please take what I say with as a suggestion. If I lead you somewhere that you don't want to go, you never have to go there. Hands can come to your heart. Take a moment to bow and add a personal intention that you might be working on. And then if you need to peek your eyes open to make sure you're not going to hit anything with your arms, try to keep those girdles engaged. Try to keep that trunk engaged. I was giving you that trunk engagement as you reach and lift. So feel this move coming from the shoulder socket. Bringing those arms up. Don't hurt those elbows. Exhale, pull right down into your heart center. A couple more times. I like to go pretty slow. Inhaling. Exhaling. Third time. And then letting yourself unwind from your seated position. If you're up on top of something or against a wall for support, just take time to unwind, and you can start to drop those knees side to side, starting to wake up from that seated position. So you're dropping your knees side to side, letting yourself wake up from that seated position. And then let yourself come into that forward fold. Press through those heels. I have my knees really bent. I'm pulling my kneecaps up into my thighs and I'm pressing down with my whole self. I'm pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. So it's a distinct, it's happening within, but also you're physically doing it. You could see it sometimes happening. To get that engagement, let yourself then just be here in this. This is actually halfway up. You've got that heart lifted, you got your blades gently engaged, they're not squeezing together, and you are just activating those muscles. And then you're going to start to row, and if you want to reach wide and then row, that's the option. If you prefer then the going just up and then rowing, or there's the down low, which is quite a personal favorite of mine. The body is doing the work. It's not your arms. The arms are really just there for a little bit extra. Like that reach wide is a lot of sensation. The reach up, not so much. I mean, yeah, you feel it on the sides, but you don't feel it all down the back. And then the reach low, there is even less sensation as you row. You're trying to feel that. You're trying to find that hinge. You're going to pause eventually. Here's where I like blocks, because you don't have to reach for your feet. Inhale and exhale. I'm still pressing through those heels. I've really got a solid lower body. Inhale and exhale. We're going to, if you come really far, come up a little bit. That right hand sneaks somewhere on that left leg. And then think about trying to keep your navel square to between your feet as you lift and rotate the heart. So I'm getting right in that oblique. Don't hurt that elbow. Your gaze only has to go as far as feels good. Your hand does not have to be at your foot. Keep pressing through those heels. Inhale, bring yourself through center. Lift yourself up. Notice how you feel. Come as far forward as feels good. Left hand somewhere on that right leg, and then you're keeping your navel anchored, and you're going to lift and rotate just the rib cage, the heart, the blades rotate. I'm sorry that my face is not towards you. Same thing, other side. Sometimes it feels like a broken wing back here. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Sometimes I make a little tail. This is where I think, isn't this where our tail would be? You can make a little tail. You only have to reach as far back as your tail. You never have to reach further, right? When you think about it, you only have to go as far as the crack. All right, let yourself come up. I know it's not delicate, but that's what we all have to take care of. That's why I do yoga. All right, let yourself relax that engagement. Drop those knees side to side. Let yourself reset from that movement, from that hinge, from that engagement. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, we're going to come up into a reverse table, and you might find it better. I'm going to move this blanket back, I think, because I'm going to bring my hands on the blanket just for a little bit more support. This is where You really got to play around to find what works best for you, and you might decide you don't even want the blanket. But you're coming into, this is another hinge position because you're trying to find that hinge. You're pressing down with your lower body, lifting with your upper body. Your knees are bent and your feet are so they can be flat on the floor. And then keeping those shoulders engaged. Don't hyperextend your elbows. You can stay right here. Now pull those blades together, lift that heart. Don't go any further if you're like, yeah, this is a lot and I don't want any more. But if you think, oh yeah, I want a little bit more, then make sure your feet underneath you and then lift yourself up and then just do that table position. Try not to let your head dangle. Try to keep your chin tucked. And if you lift up and you think, oh my gosh, no thanks, then come back down. And if you're lifted up, you're not using your toes and you're not hyperextending your elbows. You're keeping a nice soft bend and you are trying to pull that pelvis into place. And then you're going to come down. I should have said, hopefully, that it was just instinctual to keep those fingers pointed towards your behind. That's just a little bit more of a supported position, a safe position, but you're always in charge. Here's where I'm going to wind my wrist. That's a big stretch. That is a very big stretch. That's one of those wake you all up stretches, I think, that reverse table. So let's come around into regular table to then press back into the child's pose. So bring those blankets down if that would be comfortable for your knees. Take time to always make yourself comfortable. Stay with your breath. You're still connected to your breath, your body, right here, right now, pressing your whole self back, reaching your whole self forward, inhaling and exhaling. Let that breath be full and deep. And eventually you're going to be done in your child, to then lift yourself up into your stable table. Hands right underneath those shoulders. Don't hyperextend those elbows. Knees right underneath your hips. And you're going to go through that teeny tiny pelvic tilt. This is you finding that place of support. It's the pull the back body down, lift the front body. That is that supported place. And then you pull the blades together, pull them apart, the whole time keeping the shoulders out of your ears, not hyperextending your elbows. Eventually you get to that place of support. That's where you're pulling the blades apart. So you're pulling that back body down. And then you start to move. You're lifting that front body. The cat and cow is happening then in that middle thoracic back. That is where I'm going to have all your move happen. That's always where I'm going to have you concentrate the move. I'm never going to have you twist your low back because it's hyper flexible and it's really not necessary. That's not to say that you aren't the boss of you, right? But I'm just trying to get you to pay attention to that middle thoracic right there at the rib cage where you're trying to put the movement. Keep pulling that navel up into your body. And eventually you're going to be done with your cat and cow. You're going to walk your legs as far apart as feels good. Let yourself settle back into a child. Sometimes after holding in that stable table, it's pretty taxing. Even if you're holding yourself in your trunk, you still might feel it on your limbs. That's why you're being careful. Make sure that you're drinking water. Inhale and exhale. The breath is full, that 3-part yoga breath. You can let the lower third of your lungs fill up. You can press that navel into the space in front of you. The middle third of your lungs fills up. The rib cage moves up and apart. The breath goes into the upper third and your heart lifts in your chest. And then you exhale, your heart and chest relax. Your ribs move down and together. And then you pull that navel back and up into your body. Back into that table position. Make sure that you're kind of in the middle of your space. Hands coming in, you're coming down underneath the shoulders. You're in that stable table, not hyperextending the elbows, keeping that nice soft bend. Move through a couple cat and cows and make sure you've got that girdles engaged. And then find yourself in that stable table. You're going to press into your legs and lift, coming to stand on your knees. Keep engaging that lower girdle, lifting up above your head, coming into as much of a back bend as feels good. You really got to hold that lower girdle, press your knees down, and then arms come down. You don't try not to slam them on the mat as you come forward into just like a little tiny knee down plank. And it can just be, it doesn't have to be a lot. And then press yourself back into a child. And then back up. Pull yourself back up into a table. We're going to move through that flow, coming back up, reaching up above your head, coming back down to the floor, to the hands to the floor, finding a good place for your arms, having that engagement as you come forward in that plank, that knee down plank position, and then press yourself back. And if you don't want to come forward into plank, then just stay in stable table. Let's do it one more time. So pulling yourself up into that table, make sure those knees are right underneath those hips. You're holding yourself right there in that lower trunk, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, coming into as much of a back bend as feels good, to then bring your arms down, maybe bringing them a little bit forward or bringing your knees back a little bit. So you've got that space to come forward into that plank position. And this time, when you press yourself back into your child, completely rest. Let yourself breathe full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And take off whatever layers you need to. That was a lot of core and trunk. It's going to sometimes make you warmer. So make sure you're taking care of you. You're drinking water, inhaling and exhaling. The next place we're going to go is downward dog. A great way to come into downward dog is that stable table. So you're pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. Curl those toes and lift that lower girdle up higher than the upper girdle. Keep those elbows not hyperextended. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. Inhaling and exhaling. Try to find the balls of your feet. Of course, it feels good to come up on your toes and stretch, but settling in on the balls of your feet gives you more support. Your heels are heavy. They may or may not touch. And at any time you want to come down and hang out in that stable table or press back to child, please do that. Inhale and exhale. Decide, how do you want to make your way to the front of your space? Do you want to walk up, or do you want to step up from hands and knees, even maybe using some support, coming into that place of standing in that forward fold position? You're trying to find that hinge. So you're lifting your whole upper body and letting yourself move as much or as little as feels good, depending on when you last ate, which I actually ate really close to this class, so I am feeling it. So, excuse me. It's like, wow. And so that's why you have to take care of yourself. Only do what feels good. All right, you're in that forward fold. You're going to lift up halfway into that flat back. Put that weight in that back body. Hands can be right above your knees or reaching back. Keep breathing. Inhale and then exhale. Hinge into that forward fold. Keep those knees really, really bent to protect those delicate hamstrings behind you. Inhale halfway into that flat back. Exhale back to the forward fold. And now you can do that great big reach if it feels good, or come up in stages, not round. Come up with into that awkward chair and then stand, only lifting and reaching into as much back bend as feels good. All the same stuff applies. You're still pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, and only reaching back as much as feels good, always protecting the delicate and vulnerable parts of yourself. Your delicate elbows, your delicate fingers, knees and toes and wrists and ankles. And then everything else about you is delicate as well, but it's a little bit more sturdy, right? The sturdy to the delicate. So come into your mountain. You're standing on those feet, you're engaging the ball, so lifting your digits. I like to think of a tripod or sometimes four corners, using the ball underneath the pinky toe and then the big toe, and then of course the heel as the tripod. Or also you can think of the inside and the outside corners. Spread those digits, bring them down for that gentle grip. Try never to use your toes actually. Kneecaps up into your thighs, and you keep your knees bent. Here's where that first girdle engagement comes in. This is muscle and framework. This is you engaging your glutes and your hip flexors. It's muscle and framework. You're pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, and you are solid as a rock. And then feel that lightness, that lift, that stretch, navel dimples up. You feel that girdle just lift you right into that space around you. Arms can reach down to your side, or of course they can also land anywhere on your body, at your heart. Keep pulling the crown of your head up to the sky and your tail down to the floor. It is crown up, tail down. That's always the sensation you are looking for. And the more you activate it, the more it becomes natural. So finding that mountain pose wherever you can off the mat is definitely my recommendation. Keep activating, keep trying to find yourself. I mean, I even recommend wearing shoes where you can feel your whole foot on the floor and there's no pain. And the shoes aren't causing pain. Inhaling and exhaling, let your breath be full and deep. And then come to the front of your space. Oh no, let's come to the back. It might be a little bit easier, but then you're going to be the judge. We're going to come forward with that right leg. So I'm going to stay on railroad tracks and come forward with that right leg. So I'm coming into a crescent lunge position. I'm leaving the legs in that neutral position. They're not internally rotating or externally rotating. I am keeping those back pockets square and those front pockets square, and finding the ball of that back foot and the ball of that front foot. That front knee has a tendency to go towards your pinky toe. You want to try to bring it more towards the second and third toe, and then your arms can be at your heart, at your hips, or for added exertion, bring above your head. You can even bring them into goalposts. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. Breathing full and deep. When you can change your arms, it doesn't matter. Breathing full and deep. Keep that awareness. We're going to, so you're in the middle of your space and hopefully there's room in front of you. I want you to challenge yourself. You're holding yourself in your trunk. You're going to bring that left leg forward and you're going to come to stand on that right leg. And maybe it's all one big move. Maybe it's, okay, let's take a few steps. Let's bring that left leg up. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm even resting that left heel just very lightly on a block. All my weight is in my trunk. Challenge yourself. Breathe full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And then bring that left foot down next to the right. Notice how you feel. Stay with your breath. And then deciding, how do I want to bring that left leg forward? We're going to do the other side where we hold in that crescent lunge. And maybe it's better for your body to keep that left leg forward and instead send that right leg back. You're still holding yourself in that trunk. Try to find your navel and then those dimples right where your tail would be. And you're always trying to square to the front and the back. Your back pockets right below the dimples, your front pockets right below the navel. Inhale and exhale. You've got those legs in that not externally, or I guess I would say neutral position. They're just in regular neutral position. Arms are wherever feels good. The more you put the weight in that lower girdle, it takes pressure off the low back, and then you put your body, you put the awareness and where you hold yourself into that lower girdle, which is what it's for. Inhale and exhale, breathing full and deep. Stay with your breath. You know what's coming. We're going to challenge ourselves Try not to attach to whatever happened in the last time, and maybe it's just a stand up, but maybe it's steps. It doesn't matter. I never hyperextended my knee. I always kept it nice and protected. I'm still holding myself in my trunk, back pockets both engaged, front pockets both engaged. Inhale and exhale. Challenge yourself. Toot, 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 toot. And then bring it down. Standing with your hands at your side or at your body. Notice how you feel. So all that balance, like, it's all happening in the trunk. Everything, all the magic's all happening in the trunk. And nobody likes to ever think about this part of their body, but are they, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like you have to love yourself so you can use your body for the best, for the way it moves around, so the way it moves you around. And so connecting and loving and really and figuring out what works for you, I think that is amazing. It's been for the better for me. All right, to the long edge of your space, walk your legs out just a little bit. Keep them in that neutral position for just until you might not know, so you have to play around. You've got that trunk engaged. When you feel like you're at a place where you can externally rotate both those legs and start to bend those knees, you might not come down very far. You're only coming down as far as feels good. I've got my balls and heels engaged. Inhale and exhale. Hands can be at your heart, hips, or you can be in the traditional goddess. Keep pulling that back body down, and I'm going to come to the side because this is one where it took me a long time. I had the pushing the butt back like that, and it took me a while to get into that place. This is one of those places where you really got to kind of crank that pelvis down into that place. Inhale and exhale, and that really relieves that low back. Take another inhale and then exhale. Reach through those arms, coming into that 5-pointed star, and then bring those hands back to the body, walking those legs in however feels good, and letting yourself just receive that goddess squat pose, breathing full and deep. This next one, I like to use a block. 2 for support. I'm going to have one on each side. You also might want to come next to a wall or have a heavy piece of furniture. This one can be a lot. So you're going as far as feels good. You're going to sit your behind back in that trunk or in that awkward chair, and then the right leg, I'm gonna just drop it over my left knee. And this is where I like to bring, because I'm not putting any weight on that block. I am just draping that right leg, and then I am sitting back in that eagle pose, or you can wrap your foot around your calf. That's also the traditional posture. But the way that I do it with my foot, it helps to get those, at least for me, get those thighs really activated. All right, here's that second part. Arms reach wide. I'm going to bring the left arm down and the right arm, or left arm up, right arm down. So we're going to tuck that right elbow underneath that left elbow. And if it feels good to bring the palms of your hands together, do. If it feels good to bring the backs of your hands together, do. Or reach just with your hands to your shoulders and sit back. Inhale and exhale. So you've got your right leg on top. You've got your right elbow below your left elbow. So that is, and if you don't, you're just going to do the opposite. Inhale and exhale, because we're going to release. Woo! Make it a production, because that release, oh man, I can just feel it. It feels amazing. It's like you're holding and getting that constriction, and then you let it go, and it just flows into those areas. And you got, right, 2 sides. So we're going to work both sides. You're going to press back into that awkward chair, and then let that left leg, sometimes it takes a minute. And then sit back even further. Arms now. So now the right one's going to be up and the left one's going to be down, breathing full and deep. And then you're going to tuck the left under the right, and you can bring, is that right? I thought I had it. Yeah, the left goes underneath the right. Do the opposite. Inhale it. Sorry. It's been a long week for me. All right, let yourself reach into your reset. Coming into stand, hands wherever feel good. Breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Keep coming into mountain. Keep putting the weight in the back body. Keep lifting the toes so they don't do any work. Keep those delicate knees protected by not hyperextending them. Don't hyperextend those elbows as well. All right, let's come to the back of our space and come down into a downward dog to then rest in child. You're breathing navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Let yourself completely reset. And then take your time to lift yourself to come up into seated. And then this is going to be yogi's choice, how your legs show up. Some people like to have really like pretzel legs, and some people like to have them extended. So coming into that staff position, and I like to bring a block behind. Come into that staff position. You're engaging. I'm going to bring that right leg, and you can just bend that right knee and stay right here. I'm going to move that flesh and twist. Or you can bring that leg over and twist. Or if you can keep both behinds down, and I lift my behind to bring it into place, come into that spinal twist. I can't remember what this is called, but it doesn't matter because we're keeping our navel square, and we are it's twist, right? If you're keeping your navel square and you are twisting and winding your rib cage, I'm even going to rest my arm just gently. I'm not putting any pressure. This also, you can see sometimes they get the elbow, they snake the elbow, and that adds just a little bit more. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath, and then let yourself unwind, bringing yourself back into that neutral position to then reset and then decide, how do I want to do the other side? And it's up to you to decide. I don't think you have to have your feet flat on the floor anywhere. You can have that, like that left foot right now is kind of up in the air, but it's active. I'm pressing through that heel, and then I'm going to gently wind that upper girdle to the left as I keep trying to pull my lower girdle into that neutral position. Your gaze is wherever, and this is wherever's comfortable to you. And this is where, if you want to block back here to help, don't hurt those delicate parts of you. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then take your time. Let yourself unwind to bring yourself down onto your back. Find yourself on your full back. Keep those knees bent. Keep that chin tucked. Keep trying to bring those glutes. You're still doing that pelvic engagement. In fact, you can even press a little bit into your feet with those knees bent to pull that tail down, lift that those hip flexors. And only if that feels good to your low back and you can keep those glutes down, pick up those feet and rock and circle. Try not to hold on too harshly with your arms on your legs. You're always being really delicate. Inhale and exhale. Maybe move your ankles around and pop your toes a little bit. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then take the left leg down along the mat and let the right leg reach up to the sky. Now, if you do not like that left foot on that left leg extended, you can also bend. Of course, you can. It's always your prerogative. Still press those glutes down. Still pull that chin down. Keep pressing through those right heels and those left heels, no matter what's going on. Here is where, if you want to, on your next exhale, lift that upper girdle to reach for that stretch. Maybe you get your toes, maybe you don't. If you have your leg extended, you could also do the pull up. Inhale and exhale. Take Time to roll down, keep that chin tucked. Let that right leg come down. Make sure that your trunk is nice and supported. And then it is left leg's turn. Press through that heel. Engage that trunk. Inhale. So feel yourself press that glute down as you press that heel away. Stay with that awareness and sensation as you roll that upper trunk up. Inhale and exhale, only going as far as feels good to you. Reaching for those toes, try not to strain. Bring yourself back down. Let that foot come down. Rock, circle, whatever feels good. Just get that nice massage. Let's come into a couple bridges, hands down by your sides. Engage that whole trunk. Keep pressing those glutes down. Make sure you've got that pelvis in that place of support so your navel and your pubic bone are in that even place. And then lift into your bridge. We are in that reverse table. This is similar. You're only coming up as high as your shoulder blades. Keep pulling that trunk down. Keep pulling that front body, those hip flexors up to get that fuller or more, that higher bridge and to get more active and supported. And then keep that engagement in your trunk. If you did roll your shoulders under, lower down one vertebrae at a time. And then when you get down, rock, circle, reset with windshield wipers or whatever feels good. And then here's where take a few moments. We're going to, let's come into a heart opener. Before we go into relaxations, let's come into a heart opener. I like to do a heart opener with 2 blocks stacked on top of each other. It's big. It's basically traction. It is a big one. If you have blocks and you bring one block long ways and the other one up a little bit higher, you aim for right between those shoulder blades. You got to play around though to find sometimes the comfortable place until you can come into this place where you can breathe here for a few breaths. We're not going to be here for very long. You can also do this with a bolster or a rolled up blanket, and you are finding that place. Aim for always like your shoulder blades engaged. So let's be here with a few breaths in a heart opener, whatever it looks like to you. Even though you're in a heart opener, you're still engaging that lower trunk to keep yourself supported. Let yourself breathe full and deep. Inhale and exhale. If you are trying this double stack thing, it's like I said, it's a lot. Find those shoulder blades that help. There's a natural place where your shoulders come up and support your head. To come out of any of these heart openers, you're protecting your neck. I'm coming up kind of old school push or sit up, and then just barely using my trunk or my limbs on the floor to lift my trunk. And then I always like to pause because, oh my gosh, that move right there, like a few times, like a few minutes each day, I grew an inch in my 30s. It is possible to keep growing. So just FYI, that little trick of opening up that heart, moving that rib cage, it really does work. It worked for me. All right, here is where you're settling in on your mat, however feels good to you. If you want to lay down, make sure you've got the support around you that you need. If you're laying on the ground, make sure you've got that chin tucked and your legs however feel good. Sometimes putting the bolster underneath your knees helps to support. You can also come and sit in meditation. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll be here for a few moments, letting all of the wonderful goodness that we just worked up settle deep into the muscle memory in order to keep doing us good. start to become aware of your body and your breath right here, right now. Don't move on to your next thing. Stay with how you feel. Start the movement, the small twitches of your fingers and your toes, the gentle circling of your wrists and ankles, and then the bend of your knees and elbows. And if you're still on your back, make sure you're on your back, to then hug and rock in the knees, to then roll to one side. No matter what position you're in, bring your awareness to your navel, and you are grateful to yourself for being born. And you are grateful to yourself for doing yoga, and now you could go forth and do awesomeness. And I hope you do. So if you're laying down, press yourself up to that comfortable seat. Your hands can make their way to your heart. Take a moment to return to any intention you set at the beginning of the practice. See if it's something you could take with you off the mat. And definitely a lot of the things I talked about, not using your toes, treating yourself with kindness like a true friend. Please keep practicing that. It's all the difference. Namaste. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.